Hello, I'm Sarah Joy, and this is Sarah's Joyful Journey. How are you folks doing today? I just want to say a quick welcome to all the new viewers and subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a couple weeks since I've sat down and had a chat with you, so I figured I'd do a quick little update and let you know a little bit about my story and where I am going and how I am doing in my journey. I started my keto journey in July, right around 5th of July of 2022. So I am 15 months into this process now. I have lost a total of 86. I did have some regain, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And I'm maintaining a weight loss of about 75 pounds at this point. So I'm about halfway through my journey. I have another 75 to 80 pounds that I would like to lose in my process of relearning about myself and becoming a healthy whole person. And when I say healthy whole person, I mean metabolically healthy, physically healthy, mentally healthy, and spiritually healthy. These are all components that are important to me. So how did I get here where I am today? Well, I have been overweight most of my life. I got married at a young age, had babies at a young age. My first daughter was born and I was just over 20. I got married when I was 19. When I was pregnant, it was the first time that I had free access to food. Food was no longer really controlled, so I could eat whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I gained a lot of weight with her. I gained well over 100 pounds. I had a lot of physical problems during that pregnancy. I got gestational diabetes. Although it was not diagnosed, I did not get diagnosed with it till my second pregnancy, which was a couple years later. But all the signs were there. So I knew I had it. I had preeclampsia. I had pregnancy-induced high blood pressure. It was just a really bad road, and I lost a lot of control of just my health in that time period. So I've always struggled with food most of my adult life. I've done low carb. I've done pretty much every diet you can think of, I have done and tried. The one thing that is different now that was not present then was a mindset change. I realize now that this is not temporary. This is a permanent lifestyle change. So for me, I am going to be in some keto spectrum form of eating for the rest of my life. Still figuring that part out. What has worked may not always work now, so things are changing. I am doing things differently. I'm still figuring out and learning who I am as a person and as an adult, and figuring out what works best for me and what does not work best for me. So as I've mentioned, I was a type 2 diabetic. I have struggled with mental health issues, with depression, anxiety. I think a lot of those also stem from some traumas. I have been in several car accidents, not my faults, that has affected things. And I also, in the past few years, found out that I am neurodiverse. I have been diagnosed with autism, but I also greatly suspect ADHD because both my daughters have ADHD. I just haven't gone down the road of seeking formal diagnosis at this time. I'm just a little not ready for that. I've had some issues, lots of issues with doctors, and I don't always trust them. They have not always been in my best interest. I've had several lead to some very serious health side effects, including when I was pregnant with my oldest daughter. I did nearly die as a result of not receiving great medical care. And some other times where I've been maxed out on medications and still struggling with some issues and mental health issues that is from some drug interactions. They all make sense now that I know that I'm neurodiverse. I respond differently to medications than a lot of people. So those side effects were understandable at the time. Well, what I do want to share is a little bit about my journey with Ozempic and Mounjaro. I have talked about it on this channel some, and I want to talk about it for a couple moments more here since it's been a few months since I've been off the medication. How I got started on it was I had gone to my doctor because I knew I needed to go to the doctor because I was ignoring my health, and that's not a good thing. So I finally worked up the courage to go to a doctor and evaluate my health. Of course, during this process, I found out that I was a type 2 diabetic again. I had fatty liver, some other issues as well. So when I found that out, I knew I immediately was going to go back to a low carb lifestyle, which in this instance happened to be keto, which has worked really well for me in most iterations. I'm going to be tweaking soon, which I'll talk about in a moment. But anyway, I decided to go ahead and trust my doctor during this process, and I listened to him when he suggested Ozempic and Mounjaro. I was on this medication for almost a year. It was like 9 or 10 months. And I was going to the doctor every 3 months to have blood work done, having in-body scans done, which I think that was important, especially with this medication. Well, every time I went to the doctor, he suggested that I up the dose so that I can continue to lose more weight, etc., etc., etc. So, trusting person that I was, I said yes, especially since what I have in positions of people with positions of authorities, sometimes I get selective mutism, so I can't always speak up directly to the doctor. And that played a part into my journey as well. A lot of my communication with my doctor became through the messaging app because I could take the time to formulate my words and say what I needed to do without having him be in the room necessarily, creating extra pressure for me, extra stress that made it difficult to talk. And again, it wasn't necessarily him, it's just me and my process. Well, anyway, through the process of all these increasing doses, I finally got to a point where I was in pain. I was having stomach issues, gastrointestinal pain. I was to the point where I was not eating hardly at all. I could barely keep down 2 or 3 eggs a day. And I wasn't comfortable with this. So I reached out to another doctor. Another doctor lowered my dose. Went back to my doctor saying, hey, I'm having these experiences. I'm also noticing that I'm reading studies now that are saying this medication leads to muscle loss. Looking back at my in-body scans, I can see that I have lost 6 pounds of muscle since I've been on this medication. I am not comfortable with this. I would like to stop this medication. I was told no by my doctor. I was told that I could not stop this medication because my blood sugar would skyrocket and that I would gain back every pound that I've lost. This is not true and has not been true. I've been off the medication for a few months, and yes, while I have experienced some regain, I believe that regain is mostly just me trying to figure out me again, and I've only gone up 11 pounds. Not happy with it, but it's not horrible either. And it's definitely a far cry from all the weight that he said that I would gain back. And my blood sugar has gone up a minimal amount. And I mean a very minimal amount. So clearly, my doctor believed that the medication was doing everything for me. And I was of the opinion that I was doing a lot of the work and the medication was a tool. During this time, I also asked him to remove the type 2 diabetes from my record and was denied that as well, even though my A1C had been in the normal range for 6 months. He also was harping on me about a statin. He had prescribed me a statin. He had increased it a couple times. I had filled it. I'd never taken it. I didn't agree with that. So instead of having a difficult conversation with my doctor, I chose just to not take the medication because he can't make me take the medication. Well, around this time is when he really got on me on my last blood work. He was saying, I can tell you that you're not taking your medication. You're going to die of heart disease. You're a type 2 diabetic. This all happened right about the time that I was needing to stop my Mounjaro. So I did fire my doctor and I did stop the medication cold turkey. That, I will admit, is not for everybody. It's been a struggle since then. I do need to find a new doctor because I do need to go in and I need to keep a check on my blood work and stuff like this. Yes, I can pay for it and check it myself, and I'm getting really close to doing that, and I probably will, because right now I'm not in a position where I want to find a new doctor. I have to work up the nerve, I guess is a good way to say it, to find a new doctor and go through this whole process again. But in the past couple of months, since I've been off the medication, my appetite has returned. My muscles have not. That's okay. I have to physically work on that, and I will be doing that. I have to relearn satiety again. I'm struggled in this department some in the past couple months. I've also allowed some keto treats to come back in. And this has led to some extra inflammation. It has led to, I've been having more headaches. I've been having more joint pain. And I'm seeing progressive changes in my joints, in my hands. My mom does have an autoimmune condition with her joints in her hand. I likely have the same thing. It's just not been officially diagnosed, mostly because I can't get a doctor to listen to me and test me for it. But that's fine. I know that living a keto lifestyle has been very beneficial to that. So starting on Sunday, I am going to I'm going to batten down the hatches, and I am going to focus on carnivore for 3 months. This is to do an elimination and to see if my joint pains improve, my fatigue improves, my headaches go away, and find out if there's something that I've been eating recently or things that I have not been eating really recently that have been affecting me negatively. So I'm going back on that. For the month of November, I will allow occasional dairy, mostly because there's a bunch of dairy in my refrigerator and I don't want it to go bad, but I'm not gonna allow myself to eat dairy every day. I already know that butter is not a trigger, so butter will not be going anywhere. But I do want to focus on getting back to feeling better and doing some healing. I clearly have some metabolic healing that still needs to be done, as like I've said, my blood sugars have come up just a hair. I'm fluctuating around 110, 105 in the morning as a fasting blood sugar. Not horrible, but not where I want to be either. So I need to work on it and I need to refocus. And now that I've worked on getting my stress down over the past couple of months and getting things back into better perspective, I need to get the food portion back into perspective and eliminate a few things and see if by eliminating those, I do feel better, like I said before. So that is a little bit about me and my journey and my story. As you can see, I am still in the thick of it. I'm right in the middle of my journey. I have a long way to go. It's going to take me some time. I'm not perfect. I'm definitely way imperfect, and I am still figuring things out along the way. And I'm just sharing my journey with you, what has worked for me, what's not working for me, what I find I struggle with, what triggers I have. And I know binge eating is something that I have struggled with in the past, and I'm working really hard to make sure that this whole journey is a big mental shift and not just a focus on weight loss. This is about ultimate health for me. And that, again, is my spiritual, my mental, my physical, and emotional health. So it's a process. So I hope that you enjoy your time here and that you come along and you watch and you see how I progress, what struggles I have, because I will share my struggles. I'm going to stumble, I'm going to fall, but I will always get back up and keep on moving forward. So I hope that I can inspire you to keep doing the same. We can do hard things. We can do this together. We can support each other and we can learn and we can grow together. All right, so that's all I have for you for this week, and I'll sit down and I will join you next week as I get ready to embark on that carnivore elimination diet. Bye for now.